Hello and welcome to this video on the introduction of Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is the powerful personal story of how a serious accident changed the author's life and led him to discover the surprising strength of small, consistent habits. Let's dive in. The author was hit in the face with a baseball bat during high school. He doesn't remember the moment of impact. The bat broke his nose and caused serious brain injury. His brain hit the inside of his skull, causing swelling and fractures around his eyes. After being hit, he had blood on his clothes and couldn't think clearly. People tried to help him walk to the nurse's office. At the nurse's office, he failed simple memory tests, couldn't remember the year or his mom's name. He lost consciousness before the ambulance arrived and was taken to the hospital. In the hospital, his body began shutting down. He stopped breathing and had seizures. Doctors decided to fly him to a bigger hospital in Cincinnati because local staff couldn't handle his condition. His mom flew with him in the helicopter while holding his hand. His dad stayed behind to tell his siblings what happened. His parents had been in the same hospital years earlier when his sister had cancer. While he was unconscious, a priest and social worker came to comfort his parents, like they did years ago. When he woke up, he couldn't smell anything. A test showed his sense of smell returned, but blowing his nose pushed his eye out slightly. He needed surgery after 1 week. His left eye was bulging but would heal over time. His recovery took months. He had double vision and couldn't drive for 8 months. Physical therapy helped him walk straight again. Returning to baseball after injury was hard. He was cut from the varsity team and felt embarrassed. Eventually, he made the team as a senior but played very little. Still, he believed he could become great if he worked hard. 2 years after the accident, he started college. That's where he began to understand the power of small habits. He focused on building good habits like sleeping well, keeping his room clean, and studying hard. A habit is something you do regularly without thinking about it. Over time, these little habits added up and gave him confidence. By sticking to small habits, he improved his health, grades, and performance in sports. He became a starting pitcher, then team captain, and was eventually chosen for an all-conference team. 6 years after the accident, he was named top male athlete at his university and received national academic honors. He didn't play professionally, but he believes he achieved something important, reaching his full potential through good habits. Small changes may seem unimportant at first, but over time, they lead to big results. There was no single moment that changed his life, just many small wins. He had to start small and stay consistent. He started writing online about habits. At first, he felt like a fake, but people liked what he wrote. By 2014, he had over 100,000 email subscribers. People saw him as a habits expert. In 2015, he signed a book deal and launched his speaking career. By 2016, his articles were published in major magazines. Athletes and coaches read his work. He started training companies and leaders through his Habits Academy. By 2018, his website had millions of visitors. He never expected such success, but it all started with small, consistent habits. Naval Ravikant said, "To write a great book, you must first become the book." The author lived these ideas himself. This book teaches step by step how to build better habits that last. It's based on science and real-life experience. The book combines ancient wisdom and modern science. The author gives credit to experts who came before him. The book is built around a 4-part model of habits: cue, craving, response, reward. Scientists like B.F. Skinner studied how rewards change behavior. But newer studies show our feelings also affect our habits. This book offers a complete picture of human behavior, combining outside influences and inner emotions. Human behavior changes constantly, but some rules don't. This book focuses on those timeless truths. There's no one perfect way to build better habits, but this book shows the best method the author knows. That's the end of the introduction. We've just heard how the author faced a major setback, but used small, consistent habits to rebuild his life and reach his full potential. This sets the stage for the powerful ideas we'll explore in the rest of the book, starting with the fundamentals: why tiny changes make a big difference. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 1, The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the fundamentals section of the book, where James Clear explains how small changes really do lead to big results over time. Let's dive in. In 2003, British cycling hired a new coach named Dave Brailsford. At the time, British cyclists had not won a Tour de France in over 100 years, and were considered average at best. Brailsford believed in making small improvements everywhere he could. He called this idea the aggregation of marginal gains. That means improving every little thing by just 1% and letting those changes add up. They started with obvious things: redesigned seats, better tires, and clothes that kept muscles warm. They even used sensors to track how athletes responded to workouts. But they didn't stop there. They looked for tiny improvements no one else thought about, like massage gels, hand washing techniques, and painting their truck white so they could spot dust easily. These small changes added up quickly. Within 5 years, the team dominated at the Olympics, winning 60% of gold medals. Later, they won the Tour de France multiple times. How did such ordinary athletes become champions? Not through big changes, but through hundreds of small ones that built up over time. We often think we need big changes to succeed. But small daily habits can lead to huge results over time. If you improve 1% every day, after a year, you'll be 37 times better. The math shows how powerful small changes are. If you get 1% worse each day, you end up almost nowhere. But if you get 1% better, you grow dramatically. Just like compound interest grows money, good habits grow your skills and success. At first, it doesn't feel like much, but over time, the effect is huge. At first, small efforts seem pointless. Saving a little money doesn't make you rich. Going to the gym once doesn't make you fit. But over time, these efforts multiply. Bad habits also multiply. One bad meal doesn't ruin your health. One lazy day doesn't make you fail. But repeating them leads to big problems. Imagine flying from LA to NYC and changing direction by just 3.5 degrees. You wouldn't notice much at first, but you'd land hundreds of miles away. Same with life. Your current results come from past habits. So instead of worrying only about where you are now, focus on the path you're on. Are your habits helping? Are you saving money? Exercising? Learning something new? These choices today decide who you'll be in 10 years. Time makes good habits powerful and bad habits dangerous. Time helps you or hurts you, depending on your habits. Habits can build you up or break you down. It's important to understand how they work and create good ones on purpose. Good habits compound in many areas: productivity, knowledge, relationships. Each small action builds on the last. Bad habits compound too: stress, negative thoughts, outrage. Small issues grow into big problems if ignored. Think of an ice cube slowly melting. For hours, nothing seems to happen. Then at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it suddenly turns to water. Many changes look slow until a tipping point hits. When building habits, you hit a phase where nothing seems to change, the valley of disappointment. But progress is still happening. It's just being stored for later. Big successes often come after long periods of hard work that seem pointless. People call it overnight success, but it's really the result of years of effort. A stonecutter hits a rock 100 times with no crack. On the 101st hit, it breaks. Was it the last hit that did it? No. All the previous hits mattered too. You might not see results right away, but your work isn't wasted. It's stored inside you, waiting for the moment it turns into a breakthrough. Goals are about what you want to achieve. Systems are about how you do it every day. Focusing on systems gives better long-term results than focusing only on goals. Everyone wants to win gold or start a successful business. What separates winners is not the goal, it's the system they follow every day. Achieving a goal doesn't last forever. Cleaning your room once won't keep it clean. You need new habits to maintain the result. Many people say, "I'll be happy when I reach my goal." But that delays joy. Systems let you enjoy the process, not just the finish line. After reaching a goal, many go back to old habits. Systems keep you growing because they focus on continuous improvement. If you're struggling with change, it's probably because of your system, not your goal. Great systems naturally lead to great results. Atomic means small but powerful. Atomic habits are tiny routines that form a larger system. Over time, they create big results, just like atoms build molecules. Final summary, from Chapter 1, small daily habits can lead to huge results over time. Habits can help or hurt, so it's important to choose them wisely. Progress often feels slow until you cross a key point, then it speeds up. Focus on your system, not just your goals. Your habits define your future, not your goals alone. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 2, How Your Habits Shape Your Identity, and Vice Versa, by James Clear. This is part of the Fundamentals section of Atomic Habits, where James Clear explains how your identity shapes your habits, and how small shifts in self-image can lead to lasting change. Let's dive in. It's easy to repeat bad habits and hard to build good ones. Even when we try, we often give up after a few days. Habits like exercising or meditating feel easy at first but become difficult to keep going. But once a habit becomes part of your life, it feels hard to stop, even the bad ones. Eating junk food, watching too much TV, or procrastinating can feel impossible to quit. Changing habits is hard because we focus on the wrong thing and use the wrong method. This chapter explains why focusing on identity matters more than just setting goals. There are 3 levels of change. 1. Outcomes, what you want to achieve, example, lose weight. 2. Processes, how you do it, example, go to the gym. 3. Identity, who you believe you are, example, I'm a healthy person. Most people start with outcome-based habits. They focus on results. But identity-based habits, focusing on who you want to become, are more powerful. Imagine 2 people offered a cigarette. One says, I'm trying to quit. The other says, I'm not a smoker. That small shift in identity makes a big difference. Most people don't think about changing their identity when they set goals. They think, I want to be fit, so I'll follow this diet. But if they still see themselves as lazy, the habit won't last. Behind every system of behavior is a belief. Just like democracy believes in freedom and fairness, your beliefs shape your actions. If your identity doesn't match your new habit, you'll struggle. Want more money? If you act like a spender, not a saver, you'll stay broke. Brian Clark chewed his nails for years. He stopped once he got a manicure and started feeling proud of his hands. That changed his identity. The best motivation comes when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's not about wanting something, it's about being someone. Pride in your identity keeps you motivated. If you're proud of your hair, you'll take care of it. If you're proud of your muscles, you'll train regularly. True change happens when your identity changes. You might start a habit with motivation, but you only stick with it if it becomes part of who you are. The goal isn't to read a book, it's to become a reader. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. Your actions reflect your identity, whether you realize it or not. People who identify as voters are more likely to vote than those who just want to vote. When your identity and habits align, action becomes easy. You're no longer trying to change, you're simply acting like the person you already believe you are. But identity can also hold you back. Saying, I'm bad at math, or I'm always late, traps you in old patterns. Once you've repeated a story about yourself long enough, it feels like a fact. You avoid actions that don't match your self-image. The deeper a belief is tied to your identity, the harder it is to change. Culture, group identity, and personal identity can all block growth. Progress requires unlearning old identities and building better ones. To become your best self, you must edit your beliefs constantly. Your identity comes from your habits. Every time you make your bed, write, or work out, you reinforce that identity. The more you repeat a behavior, the stronger the identity becomes. Identity literally means repeated beingness. You believe things about yourself based on evidence. Going to church proves you're religious. Studying proves you're smart. James didn't consider himself a writer until he published articles regularly. Over time, the evidence built his identity. Habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your habits. Each action is a vote for the person you're becoming. No single action transforms you, but as votes add up, your identity shifts. Small habits lead to meaningful change. Every time you write, you're a writer. Every time you run, you're a runner. Every habit teaches you to trust yourself. Bad habits also cast votes. But you don't need perfection, just a majority of good choices. To change your identity, decide who you want to be and prove it with small wins. Ask, who is the type of person who could reach my goal? Shift from outcome-based to identity-based thinking. One of James' friends lost 100 pounds by asking, what would a healthy person do? She became one by acting like it. Identity and habits form a feedback loop. Your habits shape your identity, which then shapes your future habits. Final summary, from Chapter 2. Habits and identity influence each other. True change happens when you shift your identity. Every habit is a vote for the person you wish to become. Focus on who you want to be, not just what you want to achieve. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 3, How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the Fundamentals section of Atomic Habits, where James Clear explains the science behind habit formation and how you can shape your behavior using the 4 laws of behavior change. Let's dive in. In 1898, a psychologist named Edward Thorndike studied how cats learn. He placed them in puzzle boxes and watched how they figured out how to escape. At first, the cats moved randomly, poking and clawing everywhere. But once they found the right move, like pressing a lever, they started doing it faster every time. They formed a habit based on reward. Over time, the cats learned, Pressing the lever meant escape, and escape meant food. The brain picked up the pattern, and the habit became automatic. Thorndike discovered that behaviors followed by rewards are repeated. Those that don't bring satisfaction are not. Habits form through trial and error. Your brain learns what works and turns those actions into automatic routines. When you face a problem, your brain searches for a solution. Once it finds one that works, it repeats it without thinking. Over time, habits become automatic. You no longer think about each step, you just do them. Habits save mental energy. They let your brain focus on new problems instead of old ones. Some people worry habits make life boring. But good habits actually free up your mind to be creative. The process of building a habit has 4 steps. Cue tells your brain something good might happen. Craving creates the desire to act. Response, the actual action you take. Reward satisfies the craving and teaches your brain what to repeat next time. These steps repeat over and over, forming the habit loop that runs constantly in your brain. Every habit solves a problem. Sometimes it's gaining something good, sometimes avoiding something bad. By adulthood, most of our habits run on autopilot. We rarely notice them, but they shape our lives. To build better habits, you need a system. And this chapter gives you a powerful framework based on the 4 steps. Here are the 4 laws of behavior change, designed to help build good habits. 1. Make it obvious. 2. Make it attractive. 3. Make it easy. 4. Make it satisfying. And to break bad habits, flip the laws. 1. Make it invisible. 2. Make it unattractive. 3. Make it difficult. 4. Make it unsatisfying. These 4 laws can be used for any habit, whether you are improving health, money, relationships, or work. Ask yourself these 4 questions to change a habit. Can I make it more obvious? Can I make it more attractive? Can I make it easier? Can I make it more satisfying? Final summary from Chapter 3, Habits are automatic behaviors that solve daily problems. Every habit follows 4 steps: cue, craving, response, reward. To build good habits, use the 4 laws: make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. To break bad habits, do the opposite: hide it, make it ugly, hard, and unsatisfying. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 4, The Man Who Didn't Look Right, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the first law of behavior change, make it obvious, where James shows how awareness is the first step toward habit change. Let's dive in. A paramedic noticed something wrong with her father-in-law just by looking at him. Even though he felt fine, she insisted he go to the hospital. He had a serious heart problem that needed emergency surgery. She couldn't explain exactly what was wrong, but years of experience helped her spot a pattern. Her brain picked up on subtle signs, like how blood flowed in his face, that most people wouldn't notice. This kind of intuition happens in many fields. Experts learn to recognize hidden clues through repeated exposure, even if they can't always explain what they see. Our brains are prediction machines. They pick up on cues and form habits without us realizing it. This helps us act quickly, but also makes some habits automatic, even bad ones. You don't need to be aware of a cue for a habit to start. Your body and brain run many processes on autopilot, like breathing or feeling hungry. Habits become so automatic that we stop noticing them. We repeat actions without thinking, sometimes doing things we didn't mean to do. Once habits are deeply rooted, they feel natural, even when they're not helpful. You might not realize you're doing something until someone else points it out. Because habits are automatic, we often don't question them. We assume our usual behavior is correct, even if it's outdated or harmful. The first step to changing habits is becoming aware of them. Without awareness, you can't improve. Japanese train operators use a technique called pointing and calling to stay alert. They point and say aloud what they see, which keeps them focused and reduces mistakes. This method works because it brings automatic actions into conscious awareness. It helps prevent mindless errors. James' wife uses a similar strategy when packing for trips. She calls out what she has packed, to avoid forgetting anything. The more automatic a habit becomes, the less you think about it. That's why bad habits can sneak up on you. You've done them so many times, they feel normal. One of the biggest challenges in changing habits is staying aware of what you're actually doing. To change your habits, you must first make them obvious. Awareness is the starting point for any real improvement. The best way to raise your awareness is to create a habit scorecard. Make a list of all your daily behaviors, then label each as good, bad, or neutral. Here's how to do it. 1. Write down every action you take in a day. 2. Rate each habit as good, bad, or neutral. Use symbols like plus for good, minus for bad, and equal sign for neutral. 3. Be honest. The goal is awareness, not judgment. Your rating depends on your personal goals. What's good for one person might be bad for another. Labeling habits helps you understand how they shape your identity. Ask, does this habit help me become who I want to be? At first, don't try to change anything, just observe. Think of yourself like a scientist studying your own behavior. If you eat junk food every morning, notice it. If you waste time online, write it down. Don't judge, just become aware. Awareness is the first law of behavior change. If you can't see your habits, you can't improve them. Try saying your habits out loud. If you're about to eat a cookie, say, I'm about to eat this cookie, but I don't need it. This adds weight to the decision. Just speaking your habits out loud makes them more real. It helps you catch yourself before falling into old patterns. Even small reminders help. Saying, I need to go to the post office tomorrow, increases your chances of remembering. Strategies like pointing and calling and the habit scorecard help you bring unconscious habits into your awareness, so you can choose better ones. Final summary, from Chapter 4. Many habits are automatic. You don't even notice them. To change your habits, you must first become aware of them. Use tools like the habit scorecard and pointing and calling to increase awareness. Speak your habits out loud to make them more real. Awareness is the first step toward change. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 5, The Best Way to Start a New Habit, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the first law of behavior change, make it obvious, where James explains how designing the right cues makes good habits easier to follow. Let's dive in. In 2001, researchers in the UK tested how to help people build better exercise habits. They divided 248 people into 3 groups. The first group was the control group. They only tracked how often they exercised. There was no instruction on when or where to do it. The second group learned about the benefits of exercise and also tracked their workouts, but still didn't have a specific plan. The third group used implementation intentions. They wrote down exactly when and where they would exercise. After 2 weeks, only 35 to 39% of the first 2 groups had exercised regularly. But 91% of the third group followed through, simply because they had a clear plan. Knowing what to do isn't enough, you need a clear plan. Implementation intentions make your habit obvious by telling you exactly when and where to act. You can use the formula, I will, action, at, time, in, location. A study showed that people who planned when they'd get a flu shot were more likely to actually show up, just by writing it down. Clarity is key. If you don't know exactly when and where to act, your habit won't stick. Many people wait for the perfect time to change. But if you set a clear plan, you don't have to wait, you just follow it. One way to make habits obvious is to stack them onto existing ones. This is called habit stacking. Habit stacking uses a simple format. After I, current habit, I will, new habit. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Then, after I meditate, I will write my to-do list. This works because you're using an existing habit as a trigger for a new one. You can create habit stacks for any part of your day, morning routines, work breaks, meals, or bedtime rituals. Examples include, after I finish dinner, I will put my plate in the dishwasher. After I brush my teeth, I will floss. Habit stacking helps you stay consistent by linking new behaviors to old ones, making action feel natural. To build a habit stack, start by listing your current daily habits, like waking up, drinking coffee, or checking your phone. Then find the best place to insert your new habit, where it feels like a smooth addition. Use specific cues. Don't say, I'll read more. Be clear. After I sit on the couch, I'll read for 10 minutes. The more specific your cue, the easier it is to follow through. Vague plans lead to vague results. Make your habit so clear that there's no confusion about when to do it. That's how you make it obvious. The first law of behavior change is, make it obvious. 2 common triggers are time and location. When you pair a new habit with either, it becomes easier to remember. Use strategies like implementation intentions and habit stacking to create strong cues, and watch your habits grow. Final summary, from Chapter 5. Knowing what to do isn't enough, you need a clear plan. Use implementation intentions, I will, action, at, time, in, location. Stack new habits onto old ones, after I, old habit, I will, new habit. Be specific. The clearer your cue, the more likely you are to follow through. The first law of behavior change is, make it obvious. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 6, Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the first law of behavior change, make it obvious, where James Clear explains how your environment silently shapes your habits more than motivation does. He shows that good habits are not about willpower. They are about smart design. Let's dive in. Dr. Annie Thorndike ran a study at a hospital cafeteria to see if she could change people's eating habits without using willpower or motivation. She didn't try to teach them what to eat. Instead, she changed how food was placed and organized in the room. She moved water bottles to eye level and put sugary drinks low or out of sight. She also added signs showing calorie counts. After 6 months, sales of unhealthy drinks dropped by 11.4%. Sales of healthy drinks went up by 25.8%. People didn't even notice the changes. They thought they were making free choices, but their environment had quietly guided them. This shows that your surroundings have a powerful effect on your habits, often more than your own willpower. You don't always need more motivation. You just need a better setup, an environment that makes good habits easy and obvious. For example, if you want to read more, keep a book on your coffee table instead of hiding it on a shelf. If you want to eat healthier, keep fruit on the counter instead of hidden in the fridge. The most successful people don't have more willpower. They design their lives so that good habits are simple and natural. Think of your environment as a silent partner in your success. It can help or hurt you, without you even realizing it. To build better habits, make the cues obvious and the actions easy. Don't rely only on feeling motivated. Practical ways to redesign your environment. Put medicine where you'll see it every morning. Keep your guitar out where you can play it. Place running shoes near the door. If you want to avoid temptation, hide the cues, like keeping candy off your desk. When you need a fresh start, try a new space, like a cafe. Or rearrange your current one, using the rule, one space, one use. Create clear boundaries between work, rest, and play, so your brain knows what to expect in each area. Designing your environment is one of the easiest and most effective ways to improve your habits. Final summary, from Chapter 6. Your environment shapes your habits more than you realize. Small changes in your surroundings can lead to big changes in behavior. Make good habits obvious and easy to follow. Hide bad habits or make them hard to reach. Rearrange your space to support the habits you want. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 7, The Secret to Self-Control, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the first law of behavior change, make it obvious, where James reveals that true self-control isn't about resisting temptation, it's about removing temptation altogether. Let's dive in. In 1971, US Congress found out that many American soldiers in Vietnam were addicted to heroin. Around 20% of soldiers had become addicted while overseas. When these soldiers returned home, most of them stopped using heroin, without any treatment. Only about 5% became addicted again within a year. This shocked experts because, at the time, addiction was seen as something permanent. But this study showed that changing your environment can help you break bad habits. In Vietnam, soldiers were surrounded by triggers like stress, easy access to drugs, and friends who used. When they came home, those triggers disappeared, so did their addiction. Compare this to people who get clean in rehab but return to the same places and people that caused their addiction. Most relapse, not because they lack willpower, but because their environment didn't change. Many people think bad habits are just a lack of self-control or discipline. But research shows that people with strong self-control avoid tempting situations. They don't fight temptation more, they face it less. People with good habits are not necessarily stronger. They design their lives so they don't have to use willpower all the time. Once a habit is formed, the brain automatically responds to cues. For example, someone who quit smoking might suddenly crave a cigarette when riding a horse again, years after quitting, because that's what they used to do. Bad habits are self-reinforcing. You feel stressed, eat junk food, feel worse, feel even more stressed. This cycle keeps going, unless broken. Researchers call this cue-induced wanting. Seeing something related to a habit can trigger the urge to do it, even if you're not aware of it. Once a habit is stored in your brain, it never fully disappears. That's why trying to resist temptation every time doesn't work long-term. Instead of fighting temptation, it's better to remove the cue. If you want to stop watching TV, move it out of your bedroom. If you want to stop snacking, don't keep chips in the house. Self-control works in the short term, but environment shapes behavior in the long term. Willpower fades. Good systems last. To build good habits, make the cues obvious. To break bad ones, make the cues invisible. That's the secret to real self-control. Final summary, from Chapter 7. Changing your environment is more powerful than relying on willpower. People with good self-control avoid temptation. They don't fight it more, they face it less. Once a habit is formed, the brain automatically responds to cues. To break a bad habit, reduce exposure to its trigger. Self-control is useful short-term, but environment shapes behavior long-term. Make good habit cues obvious, and bad habit cues invisible. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 8, How to Make a Habit Irresistible, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the second law of behavior change, make it attractive, where James explains how to design habits that feel exciting, rewarding, and naturally appealing. Let's dive in. In the 1940s, a scientist named Nico Tinbergen studied herring gull chicks. He noticed they pecked at the red dot on their parents' beak to ask for food. Tinbergen created fake beaks with exaggerated red dots, and found that baby birds pecked even more at the bigger, brighter ones. This showed that animals are drawn to extreme versions of natural cues. This idea is called supernormal stimuli, exaggerated signals that grab attention even more than real-life cues do. Humans also respond strongly to these kinds of exaggerated triggers. Think of how fast food is made to look more tempting than real food, or how junk news grabs your attention more than real stories. These exaggerated cues shape our habits, often without us realizing it. To build good habits, make them more attractive. Use the same idea, create a habit that feels exciting, satisfying, or rewarding in some way. Habits are powered by dopamine, a brain chemical that gives us a little rush when we expect something good will happen. Dopamine doesn't just come after you get a reward, it comes before. That's why we act, because we expect something good to happen. The key to making a habit stick is not just the reward, it's how much you anticipate it. The stronger the craving, the more likely you are to follow through. You can use this idea to make good habits more attractive. Pair them with something you already enjoy, like listening to your favorite podcast while doing chores. This technique is called temptation bundling. You link a habit you need to do with a habit you want to do. For example, after I finish work, I will go for a walk. After I go for a walk, I will check my phone. Now walking becomes more attractive because it leads to something fun. You can even combine temptation bundling with habit stacking. Add 3 layers: what you already do, what you need to do, and what you want to do. If you love watching TV but want to read more, try reading first, then watching your favorite show. Soon, reading becomes a cue for something enjoyable. Eventually, your brain starts to look forward to the habit, because it knows something good will follow. Make your habits feel fun, easy, or rewarding. If something feels boring or hard, you won't stick with it. But if it feels satisfying, you'll keep coming back. One reason bad habits stick is that they're immediately pleasurable. Junk food tastes good. Scrolling feels relaxing. Good habits often feel good later, so we struggle to start. To fix this, find ways to make good habits immediately satisfying. Even small rewards help your brain connect the action with pleasure. You can also use temptation bundling with your environment. Put your yoga mat near the TV so you stretch while watching shows. The goal is to train your brain to see good habits as something to look forward to, not just something you should do. The more attractive a habit seems, the more likely you are to repeat it. That's why designing habits to feel fun, easy, or rewarding helps them last. Final summary from Chapter 8. The second law of behavior change is, make it attractive. We are naturally drawn to things that seem exciting or pleasurable. Dopamine makes us act based on what we expect, not just what we receive. Use temptation bundling to pair what you need to do with what you want to do. Make good habits feel satisfying right away, not just in the long run. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 9, the role of family and friends in shaping your habits, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the second law of behavior change, make it attractive, where James shows how habits become easier when you surround yourself with people who already follow them. Let's dive in. In 1965, a Hungarian man named Laszlo Polgar believed that genius is made through habits, not born. He wanted to prove it by raising children who would become experts in any field he chose. Laszlo wrote to Clara, a woman who shared his belief in hard work and education. They married and decided to test his theory by raising their children to be chess prodigies. They had 3 daughters and taught them chess from a very young age. All 3 became world-class players. One even became the youngest female grandmaster ever. This shows how powerful environment and habits really are. If you grow up around people doing something regularly, you're likely to do it too. We pick up habits from the people around us: family, friends, co-workers. If they smoke, you might try smoking. If they read, you may start reading. One reason habits stick is because they help us fit in. We want to feel accepted, so we copy the behavior of our group. Humans are social creatures. We follow the rules of the groups we belong to, even if those rules change over time. Solomon Asch tested how much people follow group decisions, even when they know the answer is wrong. In his experiment, many changed their answers just to agree with the crowd. This shows how powerful social pressure is. Even when we know what's right, we often go along with the group. Our culture, family, and friends shape our identity. If your group values fitness, you're more likely to stay fit. If they value learning, you'll keep learning. You don't need to be forced to follow group norms, you do it naturally. You want to avoid being judged, so you act like everyone else without thinking about it. The closer you are to someone, the more influence they have. We copy behaviors from 1. Close people, like family and friends. 2. Large groups, trends, society, communities. 3. Powerful people, role models, leaders, influencers. First, we copy close people. If your roommate works out, you might start working out too. It feels normal, because you see it daily. Second, we copy large groups. If most people wear masks during a pandemic, you're more likely to wear one, even if you didn't plan to. Third, we copy powerful people. If a successful person reads a lot, you may start reading more, to feel like you're part of that success. If you want to build better habits, surround yourself with people who already do them. Join a gym where everyone takes fitness seriously. Find a study group that stays focused. Even if you can't find people nearby, create an environment that supports your habit. Follow accounts online that inspire you. When you join a new group, you often change your habits to match theirs. That's why choosing the right group makes habit change easier. Your habits are shaped by the people around you. If your friends eat junk food, you probably will too. If they run daily, you might start running. To build good habits, join a group where your desired behavior is the norm. That way, you won't have to force yourself, you'll follow naturally. Final summary, from Chapter 9. Habits are influenced by the people around us. We copy behaviors to fit in with close ones, large groups, and powerful role models. To build better habits, surround yourself with people who support them. Join groups where your desired habit is normal. This makes it easier to stick with. Social influence shapes identity and behavior, often without us realizing it. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 10, How to Find and Fix the Causes of Your Bad Habits, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the second law of behavior change, make it attractive, and its flip side, make it unattractive. Let's dive in. In 2012, the author was in Istanbul when he noticed his friend Mike had a strange habit. Every time someone spoke Turkish around him, Mike would say, "I don't speak Turkish." He repeated it over and over, even when no one asked him anything. Mike wasn't correcting anyone or helping, he was just reacting automatically. This shows how habits can be unconscious responses to cues in your environment. Later, the author realized he was doing something similar. Every time someone criticized his writing, he'd say, "I'm still learning." It was an automatic response, protecting his ego, not helping him grow. Bad habits often form because they serve a purpose, like reducing stress or protecting your identity. But once they're formed, you repeat them without thinking. To change a bad habit, you must first understand why you are doing it. What need is it fulfilling? Once you know, you can replace it with a better habit that serves the same purpose. For example, if you smoke to deal with stress, find a healthier way to cope, like deep breathing, walking, or journaling. This is the inversion of the second law of behavior change, make it unattractive. One way to do this is to reframe your mindset. Instead of seeing a habit as something you have to do, see it as something you get to do. Changing just one word can shift your attitude. "I have to go to work" feels heavy. "I get to go to work" feels like an opportunity. You can use this trick to make bad habits feel less appealing. If you want to stop watching too much TV, remind yourself that it wastes your time instead of relaxing you. The key is to highlight the downside of the bad habit. You are not punishing yourself, you're simply helping your brain see the habit differently. Another way to make bad habits unattractive is to learn about their consequences. When people learn smoking causes cancer, they're less likely to do it. When you understand the cost of a habit, your brain starts to avoid it naturally. You don't need willpower, just awareness. Your brain loves rewards and avoids pain. So if you can link a bad habit to something unpleasant, your brain will start avoiding it. For example, if you want to stop scrolling social media, put a sticky note on your phone that says, "This makes me anxious." Or if you want to eat healthier, look up what junk food does to your body before you open a bag of chips. Many bad habits feel good in the moment but hurt later. The goal is to make your brain care about the long-term effects right now. You can also create rules for yourself. For example, no phone until I've read for 10 minutes. This helps you build better habits by making old ones inconvenient. Reframe how you see the habit. Instead of saying, I can't skip the gym, say, I get to take care of my health. The more your brain sees a habit as unattractive, the less likely you are to do it. That's how you break the cycle. Final summary from Chapter 10. Bad habits often form because they meet a need, like reducing stress or protecting your identity. To break a habit, reframe it as something unattractive. Use mindset shifts like, I get to, instead of, I have to. Link bad habits with negative outcomes so your brain avoids them naturally. Help your brain care about long-term results by reminding yourself of the cost, now. The inversion of the second law is, make it unattractive. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 11, Walk Slowly, but Never Backward, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the third law of behavior change, make it easy, where James explains how repetition builds skill, consistency creates automaticity, and frequency beats time when forming habits. Let's dive in. On the first day of class, a photography professor split students into two groups. One group had to take as many photos as possible. The other had to make just one perfect photo. The quantity group was graded on how many photos they took. 100 photos got an A. The quality group only needed one great photo to get the same grade. At the end of the term, the best photos came from the quantity group. They learned by doing, taking hundreds of photos, experimenting, and improving each time. The quality group spent too much time thinking about perfection and didn't learn through practice. They ended up with just one average photo. Trying to find the perfect plan can stop you from taking action. Often, the best way to improve is just to start, even if it's not perfect. There's a big difference between motion and action. Motion is planning. Action is actually doing something that gives results. You don't need to know everything before starting. Just begin. Each repetition teaches you more than theory ever will. Motion feels good because it avoids failure. But real growth comes from doing, not preparing to do. If you want to master a habit, start with repetition, not perfection. Practice makes progress. Habits become automatic over time. The more you repeat a behavior, the stronger your brain gets at doing it without thinking. Neuroscientists call this process long-term potentiation. The brain strengthens connections based on what you repeat. This is why musicians have bigger parts of their brain related to movement. Repeating habits changes your brain physically. The same happens with taxi drivers. Their brains grow larger in areas used for memory and navigation, simply because they use them daily. Repetition builds skill. This is true for language, music, math, any habit you are trying to form. In the beginning, everything feels hard. With enough practice, it becomes easy and automatic. The path looks like this. Start, hard and slow. Middle, easier with practice. End, automatic and effortless. This process is called automaticity, when you no longer think about every step. How long does it take to form a habit? People often ask, how long does it take to build a habit? But the real question should be, how many times have you done it? One study tracked people who started walking 10 minutes a day. Those who walked more often built the habit faster. It doesn't matter if it's been 21 days or 200. What matters is how many times you've repeated the action. Your current habits are strong because you've repeated them so many times. New ones need the same kind of practice. Final summary from Chapter 11. Don't wait for the perfect plan, just start. Action beats motion. Doing matters more than planning. Repetition builds skill and makes habits automatic. The key is frequency. How often you do it matters more than how long it takes. To build a habit, focus on making it easy, then keep doing it. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 12, The Law of Least Effort, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the third law of behavior change, make it easy, where James explains how people naturally follow the path of least effort. And how you can design your life to make good habits effortless and bad ones harder to repeat. Let's dive in. In his book Guns, Germs and Steel, Jared Diamond explains how geography affects human behavior. He shows that continents stretching east-west made it easier for people to move and share ideas than those stretching north-south. This matters because people naturally follow the path of least effort. If something is easy, they do it more, whether it's walking a flat road or using an elevator instead of taking the stairs. The same idea applies to habits. We tend to pick the easiest option available. That's why designing your life to make good habits easy is so powerful. If you want to read more, leave books where you can see them. If you want to eat better, prep healthy snacks ahead of time. Make good habits easy to start. You don't need perfect motivation, just reduce the friction that stops you from taking action. Bad habits are often easy too. Junk food is quick. Checking your phone takes zero effort. To beat them, increase the difficulty. If you watch too much TV, unplug it after each use. Make yourself say the show name out loud before turning it on. You can add even more friction. Take the batteries out of the remote or store the TV in another room. Friction makes bad habits harder to repeat. Small delays can stop you from giving in to temptation. Reduce friction for good habits. Lay out your gym clothes. Keep your guitar out. Make working on your goal the easiest thing to do. Increase friction for bad habits. Put junk food in hard-to-reach places. Use app blockers to limit social media. One study showed that students who kept their laptops closed during class took better notes and remembered more. Small efforts to block distractions can lead to big results over time. You don't need willpower, just design your environment to support the habits you want. Make the right actions effortless. This increases the chance you'll stick with them long term. Final summary, from Chapter 12, people naturally choose the easiest path. Reduce friction for good habits, make them simple and accessible. Increase friction for bad habits, make them harder to repeat. Design your environment to help you choose well, without relying on willpower. The law of least effort says, if you make good habits easy, you'll do them more often. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 13, How to Stop Procrastinating by Using the 2-Minute Rule, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the third law of behavior change, Make It Easy, where James explains how to overcome procrastination by making new habits so simple, you can't say no to them. Let's dive in. World-famous dancer and choreographer Twyla Tharp starts every day with a strict habit. She wakes up at 5:30 a.m., puts on workout clothes, and takes a taxi to the gym, no matter how she feels. She says that starting small and being consistent is what leads to big success over time. They think they need perfect motivation or ideal conditions to begin. The key is to make your new habit so easy, it only takes 2 minutes to do. This helps you avoid procrastination and get started. Examples include, read before bed becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out my mat. Study becomes open my notes. Run 3 miles becomes tie my running shoes. Starting small tricks your brain into doing more than you planned. Once you begin, you usually keep going. This works because motion leads to action. If you can just start, you're more likely to finish. You don't need motivation to begin, you just need a rule. Make it easy enough to do in 2 minutes. Once a habit is started, it builds its own momentum. The hardest part is always beginning, not finishing. Use the 2-minute rule when you're tired, busy, or not feeling motivated. It keeps you consistent, even when you don't feel like it. This rule also works for bigger goals. Want to write a book? Just write 1 sentence. Want to clean your house? Fold 1 pair of socks. The 2-minute rule makes habits feel manageable. It removes the mental block that stops you from taking action. You don't have to be inspired to begin, just commit to 2 minutes. Most of the time, you'll end up doing much more. This rule also helps you build identity. Each time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are the type of person who does the work. Final summary, from Chapter 13. The 2-minute rule says, when starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes. Make your habit so easy, you can't say no to it. Starting small builds momentum, and often leads to doing more than planned. Use this rule to beat procrastination and build consistency. It's not about finishing, it's about showing up and proving to yourself that you are the type of person who does the work. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 14, How to Make Good Habits Inevitable and Bad Habits Impossible, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the third law of behavior change, Make It Easy, and its powerful inversion, Make It Difficult. Let's dive in. In 1830, Victor Hugo was behind on writing his new book. His publisher gave him a strict deadline, finish by February 1831, or face consequences. To avoid distractions, Hugo locked away all his clothes so he couldn't go out. He only had a shawl to wear, forcing himself to stay home and write. This strategy worked. He finished The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 weeks early, proving that making bad habits difficult can be just as powerful as making good ones easy. Sometimes, success isn't about motivation, it's about removing escape routes. This is the inversion of the third law, make it difficult. We often choose what's easiest, even if it doesn't help us reach our goals. That's why designing your environment matters. If you want to stop checking your phone too much, make it harder. Put it in another room. Use app blockers. Or, remove social media apps entirely. You can also increase friction for other bad habits. Want to eat less junk food? Store snacks in hard-to-reach places, like high shelves or locked cabinets. Friction works because it slows you down. Even small delays can stop you from giving in to temptation. One study showed that students who kept laptops closed during class took better notes and remembered more. Removing ease equals better focus. Another way to make bad habits hard is to use commitment devices, tools that lock in future choices. Examples include deleting social media apps before studying, setting up automatic savings so you can't spend money easily, signing up for an early workout class so you can't skip it. These devices work because they take control away from your future self, the version of you that might not feel like doing the right thing. Technology can help too. Use software that blocks distracting websites during work hours. Or, set up automatic payments for bills or savings, so you don't have to remember or decide every month. Good habits become inevitable when you design your life to support them. Bad habits disappear when you make them inconvenient. Think of your environment like a system. The goal isn't to rely on willpower, it's to create a world where doing the right thing is effortless. You don't need motivation to follow through, just good systems. Once you've made good habits easy and bad ones hard, change becomes natural. Final summary from Chapter 14. To build good habits, make them easy and obvious. To break bad habits, make them difficult and invisible. Use friction to slow down bad habits. Try commitment devices to lock in good choices ahead of time. Design your life so that doing the right thing is the default choice. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 15, The Cardinal Rule of Behavior Change, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, where James explains how habits stick when they feel rewarding in the moment. Let's dive in. In the late 1990s, a public health worker named Stephen Loeb moved to Karachi, Pakistan. He wanted to help reduce disease caused by poor hygiene. He noticed that many people didn't wash their hands properly, especially after using the bathroom or before eating. Loeb partnered with Procter & Gamble to introduce a soap called Safeguard. But he didn't just tell people to wash their hands, he made it satisfying and easy. His team used behavioral science to make hand washing feel good. They added pleasant smells and smooth textures to the soap, making the experience enjoyable. People began washing their hands more often, not because they were afraid of germs, but because the habit felt good. This shows the fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying. Habits stick when they feel rewarding. The human brain loves rewards. If a behavior feels good, your brain says, let's do that again. We repeat habits that are immediately satisfying. That's why junk food is addictive, it gives quick pleasure. Good habits often don't feel good right away, so we struggle to stick with them. To build better habits, make them feel satisfying in the moment, even if the real benefits come later. One way to do this is through habit tracking. When you see progress, it feels good, which keeps you going. Habit tracking works because it gives instant feedback. You can see your progress, which makes the habit feel rewarding. Examples include marking an X on a calendar every day you work out, using a habit app to log your reading, putting money in a jar for every page you write. Tracking your habits also creates a sense of pride. Each mark becomes proof that you're the kind of person who follows through. Another way to make habits satisfying is to add a small reward. For example, after finishing a task, treat yourself to music, a walk, or a short break. You can also use the temptation bundling method. Pair a habit you need to do with one you want to do. When a habit feels satisfying, you're more likely to repeat it. This creates a loop where identity and action support each other. The key to lasting change is to make good habits satisfying and bad ones unsatisfying. Bad habits often feel good in the moment, but harmful later. To stop them, highlight the cost now, not just in the future. For example, if you want to stop scrolling social media, put a sticky note on your phone that says, "This makes me anxious." Or, if you want to eat healthier, look up what junk food does to your body before opening a bag of chips. Final summary from Chapter 15. The fourth law of behavior change is, make it satisfying. We repeat behaviors that feel good right away. To build good habits, make them satisfying in the moment. Use habit tracking to get instant feedback and stay motivated. Pair hard habits with things you enjoy, temptation bundling. To break bad habits, make them feel unsatisfying, show your brain the downside now. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 16, How to Stick with Good Habits Every Day, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, where James explains how tracking your habits helps you stay consistent, motivated, and focused. Let's dive in. In 1993, a young stockbroker named Trent Dearsmert started a new job in Canada. He wasn't experienced, but he had a simple daily habit that helped him succeed. Each morning, he moved one paperclip from a full jar to an empty one every time he made a sales call. He kept doing this until all 120 paperclips were moved, which meant he made 120 calls every day. This habit helped him grow fast and earn over $5 million within 5 years. His secret wasn't talent or luck, it was consistency. He used a visual system to track his progress and stay focused. This shows how powerful habit tracking can be. When you see your progress, it keeps you motivated and helps you stay on track. Habit tracking works because it reminds you to act, it motivates you to keep going, and it feels satisfying to see progress. Tracking also makes habits more obvious. You're less likely to skip something if you know you'll have to mark it as missed. James Clear started tracking his writing habits using a spreadsheet. Each day he wrote something, he marked it with a green box. Over time, breaking the chain felt worse than not writing. The goal became not missing 2 days in a row, not perfection, just recovery. You don't need to be perfect. Just avoid missing twice. If you fall off track, get back on as soon as possible. The first mistake isn't what ruins you, it's letting one mistake turn into a pattern. Successful people fail too, but they bounce back faster. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice starts a new habit of skipping. So focus on getting back on track quickly after any slip-up. One of the best tools for habit tracking is a visual streak, like marking a calendar every day you follow through. A visual streak gives you 3 benefits. It reminds you to do the habit. It motivates you by showing progress. And it feels good to see your streak grow. If you want to build better habits, start tracking them. Use a calendar, app, or journal to mark when you complete your habit. Even top performers use habit tracking. Olympic athletes review their training logs. Companies track performance metrics. Tracking keeps you accountable. Tracking your habits creates a sense of ownership. You start to feel like the kind of person who sticks with things. You don't need fancy tools. Just a simple checklist or notebook will work. The key is to make your habit visible and measurable. You can also use apps or online tools to track habits. Some even send reminders to help you stay consistent. The most important part of habit tracking is seeing your progress. Even small wins add up over time. Final summary, from Chapter 16, habit tracking helps you stay consistent. Visual progress keeps you motivated. Don't aim for perfection, aim to recover quickly after a miss. Use calendars, apps, journals, or spreadsheets to track your habits. Seeing progress builds identity. You become the type of person who follows through. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 17, How an Accountability Partner Can Change Everything, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of the fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, where James shows how being held accountable makes it easier to stick with good habits. Let's dive in. After World War II, Roger Fisher became a negotiation expert at Harvard. He worked on global conflicts and peace talks, including nuclear war strategies. In the 1980s, during rising fears of nuclear war, Fisher proposed a shocking idea to prevent accidental launches, put the nuclear codes inside a person. His idea was simple, make the person who has to approve the launch also carry the code. That way, they'd feel the full weight of responsibility before pressing the button. This story shows how powerful accountability can be. When someone knows they're being watched or held responsible, they're more likely to act carefully. We care about what others think. We comb our hair, brush our teeth, dress well, because we want approval and respect. Social pressure helps shape habits. We follow rules, not just because we have to, but because we don't want to disappoint others, even if no one is watching all the time. That's why having an accountability partner works. When someone else knows your goals, it becomes harder to quit or cheat. You can create your own version of this. Tell a friend when you plan to do something, and ask them to check in on you. One man created a habit contract with himself. Every morning, he had to email a friend saying, "I did my work." If he didn't, he had to pay $5. He used social pressure and money to keep himself honest. This made it much harder to skip his daily tasks. A habit contract is a written agreement that holds you accountable. You sign it, name your stakes, and share it with someone who checks in on you. For example, I will write every day. If I miss 2 days, I owe my friend $50. Proof: I'll send her the first page each morning. This kind of contract works because it turns good habits into social obligations. You don't want to let yourself down, and you really don't want to let others down. You can use this idea for any habit: fitness, reading, quitting smoking, saving money, as long as you have someone to hold you accountable. Even better, join a group where everyone follows the same habit. You'll naturally start doing what others are doing. This connects back to the second law of behavior change: make it attractive. Habits become more appealing when they connect us with others. People follow habits more when they know others are watching. That's why joining a gym, study group, or online community can help you stay consistent. You can even use technology for accountability. Set up automatic posts, reminders, or progress updates that push you toward your goal. The key is to make your habit socially visible. Once others know what you're trying to do, you're more likely to follow through. Final summary from Chapter 17: having someone hold you accountable makes it easier to stick to good habits. A habit contract sets clear goals, consequences, and proof of progress. Social pressure helps us follow through. We don't want to disappoint others. Join groups where your desired habit is normal. You'll naturally adopt it. Use apps, contracts, and friends to make your habits more satisfying and harder to break. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 18, The Truth About Talent, When Genes Matter and When They Don't, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of Advanced Tactics: How to Go from Being Merely Good to Being Truly Great, where James explains how your genes shape your habits and how to use them to your advantage. Let's dive in. Many people believe talent is magic, that some are born gifted while others aren't. But research shows that talent is not just luck. It's often a hidden interaction between genes and environment. Your genes don't determine your future, but they do influence what habits feel easy or hard for you. For example, someone with long limbs may find swimming easier. Someone with high focus may take naturally to writing or coding. These small advantages lead to early wins, which build confidence, which leads to more practice, which creates even greater skill. This is called the compounding effect of small advantages. But here's the key: genes don't create talent out of nothing. They simply make certain habits more attractive, easier, or satisfying, so you're more likely to repeat them. That's why some activities feel like fun to you, but like work to others. That's a sign of where your natural strengths lie. To find your talents, ask yourself, what do I enjoy doing, even when no one is watching? What feels effortless, even if it's hard for others? Don't try to master everything. Instead, play a game that suits your strengths. Focus on areas where you have a slight edge, then double down. One powerful strategy is skill stacking, combining several average abilities into a unique advantage. For example, being good at writing, plus decent at marketing, plus passionate about health, equals creating a successful wellness blog. No single skill makes you stand out, but the combination can be unbeatable. You don't need to be the best at one thing. You just need to be different in a way that matters. The goal is not to copy others, it's to become the best version of you. When your habits align with your natural abilities, effort feels less like struggle and more like flow. You don't have to force consistency, you'll want to show up because it feels right. Willpower may help you start, but fit keeps you going. Identity grows when your actions match who you naturally are. So stop asking, what should I do? Start asking, what feels like fun to me, but like work to others? That's where your talent lives. Final summary from Chapter 18: genes don't determine your destiny, but they influence what habits feel easy or hard. Talent often comes from small advantages that compound over time. Ask, what feels like fun to me, but like work to others? That's where your strengths lie. Use skill stacking to combine average abilities into a unique edge. Play a game that suits your personality and strengths, don't force bad fits. Identity grows strongest when your habits align with your natural tendencies. In this video, we'll explore Chapter 19, The Goldilocks Rule, How to Stay Motivated in Life and Work, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of Advanced Tactics: How to Go from Being Merely Good to Being Truly Great, where James explains how motivation lasts longest when your habits are challenging, but not overwhelming. Let's dive in. In 1955, Disneyland opened in California. A 10-year-old boy walked in and asked for a job. He started selling guidebooks and soon moved to the magic shop. He learned tricks from older workers and practiced jokes on visitors. He discovered he loved performing, not just magic, but making people laugh. He kept improving until he became a comedian. He worked hard every day, not because it was easy, but because it was challenging yet possible. This shows the Goldilocks rule. People are most motivated when working on tasks that are neither too hard nor too easy, just right. The best habits are those that challenge you just enough to keep you interested, not so easy that you get bored, not so hard that you quit. When something is too easy, you lose interest. When it's too hard, you feel stressed. But when it's just right, you stay engaged and grow. This rule explains why games are so addictive. They adjust as you play, giving you challenges that match your current skill level. As you improve, the game gets harder. This keeps you in the zone where progress feels satisfying, which helps you stick with it. The same idea applies to real life. If you want to stay motivated, make sure your goals are always slightly ahead of your current abilities. Once a habit becomes too easy, you stop growing. That's why top performers add new challenges over time. For example, once you can run 3 miles without stopping, try 5. Once you can cook pasta well, learn how to grill steak. Progress doesn't come from huge leaps, it comes from small upgrades. You must constantly raise the bar to stay engaged. This also explains why many people give up after reaching a goal. Once the challenge is gone, the motivation fades. To avoid this, focus on systems, not just goals. Keep raising the difficulty as you improve. That way, you never get bored. If you're stuck in a routine that feels boring or pointless, it may be because the challenge has disappeared. Add a twist, change your approach or increase the difficulty. Motivation dies when things become automatic. To keep going, you need to find ways to stay in the learning zone, where growth happens. The key to staying consistent is to make progress feel satisfying. Set small wins along the way, and celebrate them. You don't need big rewards, just enough feedback to know you are improving. Even top performers struggle with boredom. The secret is they fall in love with the process, not just the result. They accept that mastery takes repetition. And the only way to enjoy it is to see beauty in the daily grind. Final summary, from chapter 19, the Goldilocks rule says people stay motivated when tasks are just right, not too hard, not too easy. Progress feels good when it's within reach but still requires effort. Once a habit becomes automatic, motivation drops. So keep raising the bar. Focus on systems, not just goals, keep growing, even after winning. The key to lasting success is to fall in love with the process, not just the results. In this video, we'll explore chapter 20, The Downside of Creating Good Habits, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is part of Advanced Tactics, How to Go from Being Merely Good to Being Truly Great, where James reveals a surprising truth: even good habits can become outdated and quietly hold you back. Let's dive in. When habits become automatic, they also become invisible. You stop noticing them, even if they're no longer serving you well. This is the downside of good habits. Once they're formed, you stop thinking about them. If a habit is outdated or ineffective, it can hold you back, without you even realizing it. For example, a business owner used to rely on a daily routine that helped him grow. But as his company changed, the same routine became limiting. He needed new strategies. Habits are useful until they are not. They help you succeed early, but may need to be updated later. Sticking with the same routines forever can lead to stagnation. The brain loves efficiency. Once something becomes automatic, it stops paying attention, which means you might miss opportunities to improve. To avoid this, you must periodically review your habits. Ask yourself, is this still helping me grow? Or has it become outdated? One way to do this is to build reflection into your routine. Set time each week to think about what's working and what needs to change. Another approach is to create margin for error. Don't follow your habits blindly, leave space for creativity and new ideas. Top performers know when to upgrade their habits. Just like software updates, your habits need upgrades too, especially as your goals change. You must stay alert to how your habits shape your identity. Some habits make you who you are, others limit who you could become. Final summary, from chapter 20, good habits can become outdated. Once a habit is automatic, you stop thinking about it, even if it's no longer helping you. To avoid getting stuck, regularly review and update your habits. Leave room for creativity and change. Build reflection into your routine to stay aware and keep growing. In this video, we'll explore the conclusion, The Secret to Results That Last, from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Let's dive in. There's an old Greek idea called the Sorites paradox. It asks, can one coin make someone rich? Probably not. But what if you add another? And another? Eventually, yes. The same idea applies to habits. One small change might not feel like much, but when you stack many tiny improvements together, they can completely transform your life. You don't become fit, wealthy, or successful overnight. It takes thousands of small choices, each building on the last, over months and years. At first, these small improvements seem meaningless. They get lost in the bigger picture, like one coin in a huge bank vault. It doesn't look like much at first. But over time, those small wins start to shift things in your favor. You reach a tipping point where good habits begin helping you more than hurting. Once you hit that tipping point, good habits become easier to stick with. The system starts working for you instead of against you. We looked at many examples in this book. Athletes, artists, business leaders all reached the top through small, consistent improvements. They didn't rely on motivation or luck. They used a system, a way of building habits that made success automatic. Success isn't about reaching a finish line. It's about improving every day. It's a process, not a destination. If you're struggling with habits, the problem is probably your system, not you. You need a better framework for change. Use the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. Each law helps fix a different part of your habit loop. Use them again and again to find what works best for you. Push your good habits to the left side of the scale, make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Move your bad habits to the right, make them invisible, unattractive, hard, and unsatisfying. Improvement never ends. There's no final solution. Keep adjusting your habits using the 4 laws. Look for the next small change you can make. Rotate through the laws until you find what helps you grow. Don't stop making improvements. Big results come from not stopping, not from doing something perfect, but from doing something regularly. Final summary, from the conclusion, small changes may feel pointless at first, but they compound over time. Success comes from systems, not goals. Use the 4 laws of behavior change to build better habits. Push good habits to the left, make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Push bad habits to the right, make them invisible, unattractive, hard, and unsatisfying. Improvement is a cycle. Keep rotating through the laws and finding ways to get 1% better every day. This has been the complete chapter-by-chapter summary of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and the bell icon, so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.